Welcome back, Wrestling Junkies. Jake Hodges here. Let's get into it. In this video, we're going to look at Rashidov's underhook throw by. So when I think of an underhook throw by, I think of like a crow hop or a skip hop out to the side and using your underhook arm straight and throwing like a baseball is kind of the way I was taught to do underhook throw bys, which is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that one, but Rashidov's is a little bit different. So let's look at it. So he gets his underhook just like normal. This is the very first thing I noticed. Anytime the opponent tries to clear his underhook or doesn't have an overhook in the traditional sense, like trying to keep Rashidov's elbow down, then Rashidov is gonna go for this underhook throw by that he's doing. So guy's got his elbow pinched down. Rashidov's not looking to throw him by here. As soon as this guy starts to swim over the top and inside to clear, Rashidov says, "Thank you, that's my position, and this is where I throw you by." So guy no longer has an overhook. Rashidov goes to throw him by. That was first step. His first step's to get his feet square. So his feet aren't really in the same line. So his first step is to kind of get his feet more in line with each other. Then his next step is going to be with his opposite side foot, his back foot in this clip, to point it sideways 90 degrees toward the other guy's feet or body, or however you want to look at it, to start to get his weight shifted toward his far foot. Now as he starts to shift his weight, to continue to shift his weight, Rashidov starts to lean over top of his own knee. As he's doing this lean, his arm is going to stay bent the whole time. So he's not extending his arm to try to actually throw this guy. What he's really doing is rotating his elbow up to the ceiling. And this helps keep this guy from swimming back in front to get any kind of space or defense started with his hands. And it also pulls this guy into him just a little bit. So when I say into him, I mean into Rashidov's body just a little bit. So he starts to throw him by. He gets the weight shifted across first. Now as his weight shifting across, when he rotates his elbow high, it's going to help pull this guy's body into him. So he shifts the weight to this guy's far foot, the one in the back, which makes his near foot light and will pull this guy into him as his elbow rotates high. That's pretty subtle. It's not a huge pull, but I do think it's important. So he starts to shift his weight to the guy's far foot. You can see this guy's foot move forward as his elbow rotates up. You can see the weight on his toes. And then once he gets his backhand to the knee, he's just chasing down a corner to finish. So he's underhook, looking for this guy to not have an overhook of any form or fashion. So whether he tries to clear or just rests his hand over top, doesn't matter to Rashidov. He's just looking for no overhook. And as soon as he feels it, head to the far side. Start to shift that weight. Foot points toward the far side to start to shift that weight. And he starts to lean to shift that far weight. Elbow rotates high, but it still is bent. Inside hand reaches to the knee. Gets to a single leg. So let's look at Rashidov's underhook real quick. I think most people would call this a pretty shallow underhook. Maybe not even call it a good underhook. But Rashidov is not concerned with what his hand does. It's just on there just enough to keep control of this guy's arm. And by control of this guy's arm, I mean controlling his arm with his elbow. All right, so when this guy goes to clear, Rashidov's able to rotate his elbow up to control this guy's arm. His hand doesn't move a whole lot, and it doesn't like pull or hook. It's just kind of on the guy's shoulder blade. It's not really doing too much. It floated a little bit there. It's kind of off the guy's back just a little bit. He's really controlling with his elbow in this position to get the guy's arm up and over. And we'll see in some later clips where he literally turns his palm out, where it's the back of his hand on the guy's back as opposed to palm on the guy's back. Fairly similar to the last one. Guy's got a strong overhook right now, so Rashidov's not looking to throw him by. But as soon as he starts to swim inside, big mistake. This is Rashidov's cue to go. Again, he's gonna point his foot 90 degrees to start to shift his weight. Start his lean to keep that weight shifted. Elbow starting to rotate up high, so the guy has a hard time swimming his hand back inside for any kind of defense. Now here you can see where the back of Rashidov's hand is on the guy's back as opposed to his palm. So he's not hooked with his hand. He's bent arm, elbow high, just keeping pressure into him, pushing this guy forward. Here you can see the importance of the weight shift. So by stepping across more like a underhook knee pick, he gets all the weight into this guy's foot, which means it's very hard for him to pick it up unless he's just an extreme athlete. But if you're this off balance, it's even difficult then. So as he continues, the only place for this guy to move is to bring this leg through to try to square up and run, which he tries, but that's essentially what Rashidov wants. Like, thanks for your leg, man. Makes it easy. Brings it right in front for him. So he starts his weight shift. Again, with his elbow going high, it's going to pull the guy into him just a little bit, just by the nature of elbow high and bent as opposed to elbow high and straight, arm straight. I think if your arm is straight, it's going to push him away more when he kind of wants to pull him into him just a little bit. So he shifts the weight across and keeps his elbow bent to pull the guy into him just a little bit. See if we can weight shift across first, then the weight shift is kind of into him. It's hard to see, but that's my theory anyway. Shift across, shift in. That way that guy has nowhere good to go. Yeah, he just runs down the angle for a single leg. Here's another example. Rashidov gets his underhook. Taze's got sort of an overhook. He's clamped down on Rashidov's elbow, so Rashidov's not looking to throw him by yet. Right there. Mistake. His hand rotates over top, away from his overhook. Rashidov's going to start his throw by motion with that toe point, 90 degrees. Heads on the opposite side. Starts his upper body lean to get all the guy's weight shifted toward his far foot. Weight starts to shift toward the guy's far foot. Elbow over shoulder, over shoulder. And again, his hand's not grabbing anything. It's not hooked or anything like that. It's the back of his hand on this one again. So elbow high. I think the more you turn your palm out in the way, the more you can get your elbow high. Yeah, it just feels bad. I'm trying it right now. It feels bad to keep your palm facing in and rotate your elbow up. When you face your palm away, you're able to get a couple more degrees of rotation in your shoulder. So helps him get his elbow up too when he turns his palm out like this. And just by the nature of it, it kind of pulls the guy's near side into him. So he steps, starts his throw by motion, elbow up and high, the weight shifting across, and just a little bit in, not a lot, just a little bit. He's able to attack that leg, get around for his takedown.